You are listening to the Wholster Real Estate Wholesaling Podcast. I'm your host, Jared Sleeth, and I'll be interviewing real estate investors and other industry professionals about their stories, strategies, and best practices for investing in today's market. This podcast is brought to you by the Wholster app, the leading mobile platform for real estate wholesalers and investors to buy and sell off-market deals. Now available on the App Store and the Google Play Store. All right, everybody, this is the Wholster Real Estate Wholesaling Podcast, episode number 5. Today, we have Matt Derby from Derby Real Estate Investment. How are you, Matt?
I'm great.
Finally, right? We've been trying to get you on here for a while. You're a busy guy.
I'm probably more to blame than you, for sure.
Well, I did drop the ball. We won't talk about that. But yeah, I'm glad to have you on here. We've known each other for, quite a while. And interestingly enough, we kind of both started off in similar real estate ventures. We were both doing some lending, I think, when we met.
Yeah, you were doing short-term lending because I was using your company to borrow through. And I was doing more of kind of traditional, conventional and FHA financing. But certainly similar stuff.
So what I don't know is what you were doing before you got into lending. What is kind of the story that got you into real estate in the first place?
Are you including lending in that, or into actual real estate investment?
So for me, I was interested in investment before I got into lending, and I kind of saw lending as a transition from a full-time corporate job completely unrelated to real estate, so I could get into real estate full-time. Is that how it played out for you, or was it a different kind of story?
Well, not quite. I mean, I did not get into lending in order to get into real estate investment. Not to say that it wasn't on my mind when I did, but I didn't look at it as a stepping stone to get into it. And I was in the lending world for, let's just say about a decade before I started doing real estate investment.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I got into lending, actually. I went to school. I was a finance major. I thought I would be like a hotshot stockbroker. And I got out of school, and the dot-com bubbles were bursting around me, and the job market was not great. So I was just basically a bartender for, I think, about a year coming out of college. And my father actually used to sell BMWs, and I think at one point he was rated like the number one BMW salesman in North America or something like that. So
wow.
I like to think that the apple didn't fall far from the tree, but he said, look, all these guys are coming in, they keep buying all these cars, all these BMWs, which obviously are a nicer luxury car. And, all these guys, they do mortgages. So, why don't you get into it? Why don't you check it out? And I got into it. I really didn't like it. In fact, I kind of basically hated it. But obviously at some point it kind of stuck, and I figured out a way to like it and be successful in doing it. And I stuck with it for a long term. In terms of real estate investment, I really kind of two things. I had a good friend of mine whose brother-in-law was buying up a lot of rentals right after sort of the big crash of 07, 08, 09. And he was basically said, look, I mean, they are just like giving these houses away. And that kind of, opened my eyes and ears to it. But even then, it took me a long time until finally I met my now wife, and she kind of pushed me a little bit. Her father knew just everything about construction. I did not come from a construction background. So that was really the one just very, very scary thing to me, is, you think about real estate investment, you obviously think about renovations. And I did not know, I'm a numbers guy. I'm a finance guy. I'm not like, hey, look at this junker of a house and, know what you have to do and all that fun stuff. So he really certainly helped me get over that, that hump and sort of got me out of the gate doing things.
Okay. So you did a couple of deals with him. How many deals did you guys do?
Well, I mean, technically I didn't really do it with him.
Okay.
The first couple deals I found on MLS and, really just kind of went in optimistically, hoping that it would work out on some level, because again, between him and my wife, they were like, yeah, I kind of know what to do. And I was like, well, great. I know nothing what to do, except I know about, financing. So obviously that was kind of taken care of, but, it's like, all right, you know what, we're going to just dive into the water head first, and kind of hope it works out. And he really helped me a lot on, the first couple projects, and, obviously learned a lot. And I didn't, the first two were so cumbersome. They probably, between the two of them, took up almost 2 years. So,
Oh, wow.
especially the second one. So after that, it was kind of like, all right, it's kind of time to go out on my own and kind of let him retire from, showing me the ropes.
Right. Now, those first two, did they have just very extensive rehabs, or did you run into some major issues along the way?
Yes and no. The first one went really pretty smoothly. There was really no major hiccups, kind of your typical stuff that comes up during a renovation. When it was a smaller renovation, and we actually, between my father-in-law, my wife, and myself, we did about 75% of it. I mean, he didn't literally show me what was needed. He also showed us how to do it, if not doing a lot by himself. I mean,
Oh, wow.
my wife and I had we weren't married at the time, but we had just met. And even like when we went to wherever we would go, if we were in Miami, sitting by the pool having drinks for a weekend, my father-in-law was at this house, at least Saturday and Sunday from 8 a.m. until probably 5 p.m., just, working his butt off, for us. And we spent a lot of weekends in there as well. So the first one, lighter rehab, was a really good kind of starter project, if you will. And, so we got that knocked out, got it sold relatively smoothly and quickly, and, really kind of swung for the fences on the second one. It was like just a monster. I mean, full well, a full gut rehab down in Canton. And, it was way more. I bit off way more than I could chew, and we got through it. But I quickly got into the project and realized that if we were going to do it all hands on, it was going to take us 3 years to fix this house. And plus, we just needed subcontractors, like, for permitting and other issues. I'm not going to rewire a whole house. So yeah, the second one took probably close to 18 months from start to finish.
That's a long time. Did you, hopefully you didn't use hard money for that.
No, it was a lot of cash, which was good in the sense that I think we actually made a little bit of money on it, even with that holding time, which is, pretty unbelievable. But at the same time, I was really handcuffed because pretty much all of the money that I had to invest was tied up in this house. So I would see all these opportunities and stuff that would come up, and especially towards the end, when it was like, all right, I've made it to the other side of the mountain. I'm kind of, I'm at a point where were pretty close to wrapping this thing up, I still could not move on to a subsequent project because, again, I just had all that money tied up.
Right. Yeah, that can get challenging, especially in an environment where it might be difficult to refinance. I don't know what the time frame is here at this point in your story, but it could have been maybe in those sorts of times. So as you grew this flipping business, you did start to transition into rentals, as I understand.
I did, yes. Yeah, I've told the story a lot. I was doing these flips. That was to give you a feel for the time. I think the first flip got done in either it was 2013 or 14. I guess should probably know that, but I started getting into rentals, and I was kind of under renovating them. I was really, I mean, you talk about the definition of lipstick on a pig. I was just kind of doing the bare minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear it a lot from maybe a lot of wholesalers. There's probably a lot of jokes or phrases out there, but it's just, oh, you don't need to do a whole lot. And I really took that, to heart, and I didn't do a whole lot, and I didn't do enough. So when I started kind of building a portfolio, I quickly just got bamboozled with all kinds of just maintenance and just a lot of headaches. And I actually so I started, and then I actually stopped because it was like, man, these 5 or 6 rentals that I have are just costing me boatloads and boatloads of money. It's like, this is just never stopping. It's like we're the levee, just the water just keeps running out. and the water was our bank account being cleaned out month over month. So and then I did some more renovations on the flip side, and kind of came back to it one day and said, you know what, I kind of really failed forward, as the saying goes, the first time, but I have a little bit more experience under my belt now, and I'm really gonna kind of just give it a second shot, and I'm just not gonna give up, and I'm probably gonna make more mistakes, and I'm just gonna keep doing it until I really have a good grasp on it. And that's basically what I did. I just kind of kept going, kept fighting through the headaches and the small nightmares, and and worked it all out.
So what was the biggest shift that you had about when you first started buying rentals to, I guess, when you decided that you were going to keep going? What did you change?
Well, I started renovating things more diligently. That was one of the main things. I realized that 80-year-old plumbing does not last much longer than 80 years. And 30-year-old furnaces don't last much longer than 30-year-old furnaces, and 30-year-old roofs don't,
they hardly last 20 years, actually.
What's that?
I said some of those hardly last 20 years.
Yeah. I mean, especially depending on what kind of roof it is, but
right.
And also, I didn't really, we met because you were doing hard money, and when I first kind of started things, even the first 2 flips, I used, the first one I used conventional financing on, and then the second one I was cashed, like I said, I had some private money raised in there as well at very low rates, fortunately. But that also, the financing part of it, realizing that I could buy these properties with little to no money in the deal, also was a total game changer for me. It was like, oh wow, I can buy a house with $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, do a closing, where I'm coming from the traditional lending world, where it's like, oh yeah, you need 20% to put down on a rental. Maybe not a primary residence, but on a rental, you need 25% down. So again, it was just the renovating and the financing. And it was like, wow, I can I can do more with less in terms of capital.
Right. As long as you can get them done in, less than 18 months. You certainly don't want to hold hard money for that long. So what does your business look like today? Where did all that flipping take you?
The flipping really didn't do much for me. It took off just about all of my hair, as you can see. Kind of put some bags under my eyes, but yeah, no, I kind of stopped doing that. I've done some flips. I did a couple last year, mainly because the market was just, I told everybody that we may never see a market like this ever again.
Mm-hmm.
But I at one point I just grew very tiresome of doing the flips. It just kind of, there's just a lot that goes into them, and I quickly really liked doing the rentals. They were just easier to get done. We like to put out a good product with the rentals, but you still just don't have to go to the extremes that you do with flips. And even some of the flips, I was probably not renovating them to the level that I should have. It was like, oh yeah, we can keep that. And, that probably ended up actually, I thought it was saving me money, but it probably cost me money because the homes would have sold for a lot more.
Right.
But as far as the here and now goes, I'm in my office in Columbia. I have 3 employees that work with me in my office. I have an acquisitions agent or acquisitions guy that works remotely. And then obviously a slew of contractors that work on the houses day in and day out. We actually just broke the 200 property, well, one and the same. I was going to say 200 unit. They're all 1 unit properties. So we just eclipsed the 200 mark. I actually closed on one today before the podcast. I think that was like 203. So
wow, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It's it's been a lot, I guess, to put it simply. But so yeah, I mean, really, we're still doing some assignments. We talked about it before we kind of got going. I was doing a lot of marketing. I've kind of dialed that back, but we are still doing some assignments from time to time. But mainly, we're just kind of growing the portfolio. Have in-house property management, which is what some of my employees help me out with.
Mm-hmm.
And, we'll probably buy, I would say we've bought right around 70 houses the last 2 years. And I think we'll probably do, especially if rates continue to trend down, I think we'll probably do around that number this year. I thought that we would do a lot less last year when rates started getting real funky and crazy on us, but we still bought a lot, and so I think we'll probably end the year probably in the 265, 270 range.
Do you see any end to that? Where are you going? What are your goals?
Yeah, that's something that admittedly I guess you could say I struggle with, because I guess I kind of talk out of both sides of my mouth on it. I love setting goals, and because I think it really is kind of most people's kind of North Star. It's kind of like their motivator when they wake up in the morning. Yeah, actually, at one point I wanted to be. I think it was at like 206 or 209, and I'll be there within 30 days, and I'm not. I'm not hanging it up there.
Right.
So the answer is I don't know. Because I at the same time, I think that goals are, you set goals. Well, I want to be at 50 units. I want to be at 100 units. 100 for me was like a big milestone. As it should be. There's a lot that goes into buying 100 houses and renovating most, if not all of them.
Yep.
But I couldn't even tell you what the only reason that I know what house was the 200th one is because a few people kept asking me, when are you going to be at 200? When are you going to be at 200? So, and also ironically, I did count them at the end of last year, and I was at like 198. So it was like, okay, well, the second or third house I buy will be the 200th. So yeah, I don't know kind of where that train stops, so to speak. Because I could say, well, 500, but I think that it's just unrealistic for me to hit a certain number and wake up that day or the next day and say, okay, I'm throwing in the towel, I'm done. The way I think that I kind of envision it is more of just kind of a random, it might be just one random event where I just kind of wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm done. I don't, I don't need more. I know full well, I don't really need more than what I have right now. But
Right.
once it becomes kind of more of a chore and more of a stressor and more of a headache to do it, then maybe I wake up one day and say, you know what, I think now is the time. And I don't know whether that happens next month, next year, or, 10 years down the road. So, I think that, not to kind of start getting real deep and philosophical, but I think that, defining where you want to be and actually adhering to it and sticking to it is, it's a gift and a curse. It's one of the toughest things to do. It's a gift in the sense that, people want to keep pushing and doing more and it growing and expanding.
Mm-hmm.
But also, you're kind of chasing this never ending, end of the road, so that's why I think you hear also, you've got to love the journey. And that's what I'm saying. That's essentially what I'm saying. When I stop loving the journey, because there is no end of the race. There is no, magic top of the mountain. I actually posted something on Facebook the other day, which I think you had commented on. People think, oh, well, when I have 100 houses, when I have 200, when I have 500 houses, I'm just going to be happy. And it's just going to be, rainbows and unicorns. It's not the way that things happen. If anything, things get more hectic. I could make an argument that, hey, your best bet is to buy 25 houses and try and get them all free and clear. And, you'll have a lot less overhead and tenants and just overall stuff to deal with than 200 houses with, dead and 200 tenants on it. So, again, it's a very, very, tricky question to answer.
Hey, real estate wholesalers and investors. Marketing deals and searching for your next investment property shouldn't be as hard as it is. Creating marketing materials, email campaigns, websites, and sifting through unfilterable leads on social media is a time-consuming task. The Wholster app was created to make marketing deals fast and to make it easy to get immediate notifications right on your phone about the deals that you want to buy. Experience the convenience of buying and selling off-market properties with mobile technology so that you can spend more time on the activities that grow your business. Visit our website at wholster.app and download Wholster today on the App Store or the Google Play Store. In my head, owning 200 units is just what it takes to get there is not something that you often, and you see anyone often achieve, especially, single family, individual houses. So you've accomplished a lot. It sounds like the systems are still working. Things are going pretty smoothly. Do you ever find yourself getting distracted? Like, well, maybe I want to try this other thing.
Well, I know full well. I got into the e-commerce space and because I was told that it was this ultra passive way to be making $5,000 a month or whatever the pipe dream was there. So yeah, I mean, it's not to say that I don't look at some other stuff. I didn't really kind of get hooked in by crypto. I bought a very little bit of it, and I haven't even looked at my balance, but it's that's probably about 80% gone for the few $1,000 that I threw at it. But obviously for people in real estate, I think that the shiny object is, doing these bigger deals, multifamily, stuff like that, which I think there's some legitimate reasons why people say that. It is easier to deal with 100 people under one roof than it is 100 people under 100 roofs that, could be 100 miles. One might be 100 miles from one to the other. But, at the end of the day, as I kind of grow older, I'm kind of getting more comfortable in my skin, in the sense that, what I'm doing right now, it works for me. I am in the process of launching what it hopefully will be, actually, getting back to kind of how we started the show, launching what hopefully will be a rather large lending platform. But we're really in the infancy of that. And so I guess that would be it, but right now I have the systems and the people built to keep doing the single family stuff. So again, I'm going to keep doing it until I feel otherwise about it.
So speaking of systems, it certainly is going to take a lot of systems to get to that kind of scale. What do you feel like has been the most important system you've built to get there?
Man, I will tell you, unfortunately, I don't have this like golden nugget, eye-opening, secret system of sorts that, really catapulted me from 50 to 150 units. I was the classic solopreneur that I didn't really even hire anybody until I was at like 70 or 80 units. And I was doing business like basically off the top of my mind. I kind of had this to-do list that was, as good as my memory would serve me. I had no systems. Really, so the most magic occurred for me, hands down, when I started hiring people. People and delegating will take you, I think, a lot further than systems. And also, I'm just not a super like kind of tech-oriented person, I guess, if you will. I love it, if and when it performs as it should. I love things that are automated and anything that makes life more just simpler. But I just don't have like even spreadsheets. I see these people build out these spreadsheets. I'm like, how in the world do you even do that? And again, they're great, but again, things really, really took off. I think that I went from buying like 35 houses until I hired my first employee, and I literally went from like buying 35 houses the year prior to like 70. It literally doubled the year that she came on board. So, I mean, I would tell people, really, if anything, I would kind of almost say, in terms of systems, hey, I mean, Google Docs, Google Sheets. I mean, you can run a pretty, I mean, even to this day, as much as I don't love the fact that we have like 22 spreadsheets, that we kind of work through, but again, it just, I'm being very repetitive, but things really just shot forward when I started hiring people. And maybe that's me. Because I didn't set up any systems as I should have. That's the other thing too. It's not really about what system. If I could go back and do it all over again, even when it was just myself, set up a property management software, get organized. And again, it doesn't have to be a system with all these fancy bells and whistles. Just, again, utilize Google Docs, Google Sheets, and start there. And as you grow, you'll kind of figure out what you need.
That makes a lot of sense. Communication, record keeping, those sorts of things. When you brought on that first employee, what was sort of their role?
Well, my first hire was supposed to be sort of an admin role, kind of, I guess, a catch-all for whatever I wanted to take off my plate, including the tenants.
Mm-hmm.
And it was right around January 2020 is when I kind of made the leap from hiring and really ramping up and doing consistent marketing. So I hired somebody as an admin, but I quickly started doing marketing, and he had some experience doing marketing and acquisitions. So he kind of quickly, grew towards that and wanted to really do that. And also, I was paying him commission, so there was more money for him in doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of an admin that quickly turned into an acquisitions person. And then I hired a true kind of office manager. That was 2020. Obviously, COVID just, knocked us in the side of the face in spring of 2020. I brought on who is my office manager to this day in early 2021. And that's who I was referencing, by the way. When she came on and started just kind of cleaning everything up, bookkeeping being one of them, just took over paying them. It just took over a ton of tasks off of my end. Because the first hire, he started doing acquisitions, and then it was, it actually kind of put more on my plate because I still had to do all the stuff that I was doing, but I still had to worry about doing marketing and kind of overseeing him in the acquisitions role of things. So kind of an assistant, office manager. There's a ton of different titles you can come up with.
Okay. Let's shift gears a little bit. Outside of real estate, I know that you have sort of this, you like to give back, let's say. Can you tell us a little bit about how you've been giving back to the community?
Yeah, sure thing. So my wife, I guess I kind of owe, when we sit here and talk through it, I owe my wife maybe more credit or gratefulness or than I guess I kind of give her, because again, she was the one who kind of nudged me into getting into real estate investment. And she also was kind of the Kickstarter for doing these charity events that we're doing these days. So a couple years ago, I think it was around the holidays, I think everybody kind of tends to be a little bit more charitable just by nature around the holidays. And we were kind of thinking of what can we do? What can we do? And we were just thinking about kind of a local, I think it was a toy drive, but something to help out schools locally. And it just kind of grew from there. We started, we wanted it to keep it on a local level in terms of the charity. We started kind of asking around, and we had a lot of people saying a lot of great stuff about this charity, Casey Cares, who is local. They're in Columbia, just like I said my office was. So we got linked up with them, and we started doing. At first, we did a charity happy hour, and I'm a big golfer, so we started last May. We did our first charity golf outing as well. So. So yeah, I mean, we may even start our own charity. My wife may kind of get into that, and we may start our own thing here. But either way, we love doing the events. Admittedly, to kind of be an open book, I just kind of woke up one day and I realized that like I had really failed a lot in terms of just giving back. There's you say it and you hear it, and I think it's something that it's very easy to say it, but you've got to really. It doesn't kind of hit hard as much as it should. There's just a lot of people that are not as privileged and that really do kind of need help out there. And I just kind of was not doing enough to give back. I'm very fortunate in a lot of different aspects of my life. And it was like, man, you also hear in real estate a lot of like leaving a legacy and all this other stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's great that you can kind of pass down real estate from myself to my children or whoever it might be. But, I kind of just wanted to do more to kind of give back. And my wife and I both did, obviously. So we got started with that, and we've been kind of rocking and rolling. We're actually meeting. We want to kind of just like real estate, we want to be doing bigger and better events. We're actually meeting in a couple weeks to figure out how we can do that, how we can, not necessarily the format of the events. We're still going to keep doing the one happy hour. We kind of like it to be a little bit more formal than a happy hour, not a black tie event, but something that people think of as more than just a happy hour. And we're already signed up to do the golf outing at the end of May. But yeah, it's something we want to do more, not necessarily do more of, but we want to just be able to that big check that goes to the charity, whatever that charity is. We want to grow that over time. But it's really fulfilling stuff. Admit again, I wasn't really doing much of it at all outside of, maybe, okay, here's a $20 donation here and there. But, to do something and, to hand over $20,000 to a charity, it's a lot different and more fulfilling of a feeling than saying, hey, I bought my 200th house. It really is.
Right. Yeah, I think we could all probably do a little bit more of that, myself included. Did we talk about what Casey Cares does exactly? What type of organization are they?
Casey Cares, at their core, they help out children that are going through health issues, essentially.
Okay.
Mainly cancer, most of which are terminal. They're kind of, I guess, a local version of like a Make-A-Wish Foundation. They're trying to give kids that are in a very poor health state just something to kind of take their mind off of them being sick, So it could be as simple as going to the movies one night, going to an Orioles game, going to a Ravens game. Maybe even if they just need help in terms of, clothing or whatever it might be. But just really, again, helping really not only the children, but the families of children that are just dealing with a lot on the health side of things.
Okay. I love that. We're going to make sure to get some information in the show notes about Casey Cares. So if anybody listening wants to check them out, they can do that. That sounds like a great organization.
Yeah. I mean, and it, again, another cliche phrase is just, you don't have to be necessarily running like these charity events like we are. Just, I kind of put myself down for saying, oh, I was only giving, $20 here and there. But at the end of the day, everybody's throwing in 10 or 20 bucks and just chipping in a little bit really does. I mean, that makes a world of difference. We kind of went 0 to 100 in terms of organizing these events, but hey, just finding a charity that you like and just giving them a $50 donation 2 or 3 times a year is just huge. If a few hundred people started doing that, it would make all the difference.
It really would. I love that idea. I'm going to go ahead and make a donation myself.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, there's one other thing that I think I had on my list here to talk about. You've done in the past, I don't know, maybe a year or so, work with some other investors and doing some workshops. And are you still doing those?
I am, yeah. We're doing them on a monthly basis there. I think we started, I want to say April or May, and I did one for about 5 or 6 months straight. I like doing them. It's a real small setting. It's about 5 or 6 people right here in my office, in this room. We've actually kind of outgrown this office, so my office is actually the old conference room. So, but yeah, it's something that I do like doing them. I kind of do them on a demand basis. I don't really put a whole lot of time into marketing outside of throwing up a Facebook post every once in a while about them. I don't really market them and kind of chase people down to participate in them. But yes, I do offer that. I'd like to do one in the spring. We'll kind of see what happens. We'll see where the demand is, but it's 2 days. I kind of just I'm an open book, and I open that book up, so to speak, for 2 days, just kind of 9 to 5. We talk about everything: marketing, acquisitions, construction, rentals, even just general business mindset and goal setting, like we actually hit on here today as well. So yeah, if somebody happens to have some interest in that, they can certainly reach out to me and we can discuss it further.
Great. Yeah, we'll make sure to get your contact info in the show notes. And I've had, to be honest, I think some of the folks we've had on this podcast have been in that conference room with you for your workshops, and I've heard a lot of great things. So yeah, if you guys are interested in that, be sure to reach out to Matt. It sounds like he's going to be having more of those. So Matt, it was awesome to have you on. Thank you for taking the time out and talking to us about your story and for giving back and sharing that with us too. I think that's not often talked about in the real estate world, and it's something we could all be doing a little more of. So thank you for that.
Yeah, not a problem. Again, I appreciate you having me on, and glad to link up and jump on and kind of talk some shop with you.
Yeah, man. It's always good. Next time I'm in Baltimore, we'll have to get together. Be good to see you.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. Thanks again, Matt. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Wholster podcast. If you want to stand out with your wholesale marketing or easily find more off-market deals, leverage the convenience of a mobile app and download Wholster today on the App Store or the Google Play Store.